place where you can stay. Kusoma, Kusoma, just a book away. Let's all sing and play. Kusoma.
Hi, I'm Mary Nyami, author of Ray's World, illustrated by Jasmine Mills. Ray woke up bright and early. It was the last summer bank holiday before school reopened. Ray had spent 6 whole weeks playing with friends and swimming. Ray knew school would be opening again very soon, but she could not find her new school uniform. She had spent 2 days looking for it. Ray had searched everywhere in her room, but still could not find her new uniform. Her room was painted pink with curtains around her bed, just like a princess. She had stars and musical notes that glowed in the dark. She also had 2 bedside lamps, which her mum used to read her bedtime stories. Ray stopped her search for the uniform and stared at the poster of a ballerina on her wall. She is so beautiful, she thought. She looked away from the poster and noticed her guitar. I can't wait to start my lessons in September, she said and smiled. She had been looking for her new shoes. For the past 2 days, she wanted the shoes with a strap. She had agreed with her best friend Lily before they broke up from school that they would get the same shoes. But Mum said that lace-up ones were much better. Ray sat up and picked up her book. This was no ordinary book. Ray wanted to create a book of everything that she did on a daily basis. And when she became a famous doctor who looked after sick children or a dancing guitarist, she would let the world read it. Ray's mum always let her update her book before bedtime or when she had finished her breakfast before going to school. If it were during the school holidays, it would be before they went out or the weekends. She climbed out of bed and called for her mum. She opened her mum's bedroom door, but her room was empty. She even opened her big sister Nettie's bedroom door, but it was also empty. Nettie had a sign on the door which read, "Geek and Brat, keep out." The geek is what Nettie called their brother Xander. He was away on holiday with his best friend and his family. The only time she was allowed into Nettie's room was when Celia came over from next door to do homework with Nettie. Celia was nice. She helped Ray to create a dot-to-dot of herself. She said it would help with her numbers. Celia had not been over this week as it was the month of Ramadan, which is a very special month for the Muslim community. During this month, they fast, read the Quran, give to charity, and spend time with close friends and family. At the end of Ramadan, there is a massive celebration called Eid, where lots of food is made, presents and new clothes are bought. They pray and celebrate with lots of food and treats. Nettie thought that she was all grown up. She was 11. And after the summer holidays, she was going to a big school. Mummy will not be walking her to school or taking her in the car with me and Xander anymore. She will be getting the bus with her best friends, Sasha and Celia. Mummy had spent some of the holidays preparing Nettie for the big, wide world. Ray could remember everything her mummy did with Nettie, as she would be going from being the biggest kid in her school to the smallest again, which can be very scary. Mummy said that going to secondary school is a very special and can be a stressful time for 11-year-olds. So she drew round circles on a piece of paper and asked Nettie to draw faces showing how she felt about going to secondary school. And they had a discussion about how she felt. To help Nettie prepare for the big day, Mummy took her on the bus. She showed her where to get on and off the bus. The second time, Mummy followed Nettie to the school, but she let her take the lead. They got off at the wrong bus stop, so they had to cross over to the other side of the road and get the bus back in the right direction. The third time, Nettie went on her own. Mummy told Nettie to time the journey and make a log of everything she saw. Mummy waited at the bus stop at the bottom of the road for Nettie to come back. Mummy also spoke to Nettie about staying clean and the importance of waking up early and having enough time to take a shower in the morning and one at night. Keeping yourself clean is an important part of growing up and building self-esteem. If you care about yourself, then you will feel fantastic about yourself. Mummy gave Nettie a pretty girl bag, which is a small bag with deodorant, wet wipes, and other girly bits that she got from a lady on Instagram called Pretty Like Me Too. Children can be mean sometimes, and you will have a lot of things to deal with, so do not make yourself a target by having messy hair, bad breath, or what is called body odor. Always remember that no matter how you look, bullying and being mean to someone is wrong. You must always tell an adult if people are being mean to you. Mummy bought Nettie 5 school shirts, one for every day of the week. She said, you must take off your uniform as soon as you get home from school, especially now that you have a blazer. You must also hang it up nicely so it is nice and fresh for the next day. Her hair will be worn in box braids so that she does not have to worry about her hair in the morning. She likes to wear it in 2 ponytails, and it can take ages to get it right. Now all she will have to do is spray it in the mornings and tie her hair down with a headscarf at night. These are just some of the things that Mummy told Nettie she needed to do when she started secondary school. Ray wondered where everybody was. She could smell the yummiest food and loud music coming from the kitchen. She knew yummiest was not a real word, but that was the only way that she could describe the smell. She walked towards the stairs and slid down the banister. She knew that if her mum caught her, she would be in big trouble. But as the music was playing loudly and Ray could smell food, she knew that she would not get caught. She stood in the kitchen doorway. Her mummy and Nettie were singing along. When last you went to a party and the music sweet you, Ray joined in and sang, oh, oh. Long time. Nettie had not noticed that Ray had entered the kitchen. She was too busy dancing and giggling. Ray jumped into the air when she realized what was going on. It's carnival, she shouted. They lived in Ladbroke Grove, West London, home of the Notting Hill Carnival. This meant that for 2 whole days, their house was going to be as busy as a bee's nest. Cousins, aunts, uncles, and friends would visit. Ray always enjoyed the festivities and fun. Uncle Frank would visit with Auntie Julie and spend a penny. Ray had always wondered what he meant, as there was nothing that you could buy in her house for a penny. What's for breakfast, Mummy? Ray asked. Take your pick, her mum replied. Laid out on the kitchen table was fried chicken, fried fish, jollof rice, which Ray called African special fried rice, fried dumplings, ackee and saltfish, and a whole lot more. Ray knew that this was a special weekend because her mummy normally grilled everything. Ray decided to have a little bit of everything. Whilst watching Mummy whiz around the kitchen, Ray needed help with her costume. This year, her dance school was taking part in the Notting Hill Carnival. They were all going to be dressed as beautiful ballerinas. Last week at ballet class, Ray and her 2 best friends, Lily and Amma, agreed that they would get dressed at Ray's house. Lily and Ray had not always been best friends. Ray remembered Lily came from a different school. That day, her best friend Amma was off sick. So Miss B had told Lily to sit next to her for the whole day. When Miss B was not looking, Lily kept pulling on her plaits. After school, she told her mum what had happened. Her mum told her that if it happened again, she should tell the teacher. When she got to school the next morning, Amma was still off sick. So she had to sit next to Lily again. And when Miss B was not looking, guess what Lily did? You guessed right. She pulled on Ray's plaits. Miss! Ray yelled at the top of her voice. Lily keeps pulling my hair. She did it yesterday and today. And my mummy said, if she did it again, I should tell you. Lily looked embarrassed as the whole class looked back at her. When the final bell rang at the end of the day, Miss B walked towards Lily's mum, who was chatting with Ray's mum. The two girls looked at each other confused. Miss B asked Lily's mum if she could have a word. When Lily and her mum reappeared, Lily was looking over her glasses, and her mum was waving her finger at her. Ray asked her mum if she knew Lily, the new girl. Her mum told her that she went to the same big school as Lily's mum when she was Nettie's age, but their family moved away and they lost contact. Lily walked over to Ray and said sorry. What Ray did not know was that Lily's mum had asked Ray's mum what shampoo and conditioner she used on her hair, as Lily's hair was thick and curly, and hair wash days were a nightmare in her house. Ray's mum had invited them both round on Sunday, which was Ray's hair wash day, to show her how. But that is a story for another day. After a delicious breakfast, Nettie and Mummy helped Ray and her friends get ready for the carnival. The girls were super excited. When they were ready, Mum took a picture of the three girls and they made their way to the dance school where the float and the rest of the ballerinas would be waiting. The girls made a chain and held onto each other's hands very tightly so that they did not get lost, as they were busy looking at all the amazing colours and the other floats. The girls were excited as they watched the floats going by. Everybody in the street was having a great time. The floats reminded her of a big, big milk float, the type that the milkman delivered the milk in. Mummy told her that in Trinidad, the MC, or the mic man's job, is to make people dance to the music and follow the float by singing or doing something called freestyling, which is what they do when they say anything that comes into their head. When the MC freestyles on the float, he sings something like, sitting on the wall, watching all the people go by, colours so bright, pink and green, yellow and purple. A float goes by. Kiddies dressed in red, yellow and green. These are the colours of the rainbow. They watch the floats go by, they listen to the music and the MC's invitation to the crowd of people to come along and dance and feel the music. Feeling hot, 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 Ray sang along. She loved carnival because it always felt like the whole world was in one place. When the girls arrived at their dance school, there was a massive float with a huge ballerina on top, decorated in a red tutu and a bun on top of her head, just like theirs. Ray's mum gave the girls a big hug and said she would see them later. Emma's mum was a dance teacher at the school, so she was going to bring the girls home when they had finished. Mum gave each of the girls a piece of paper wrapped in cling film and told them to put it somewhere safe in their costumes. So if they got separated or lost, they could find a policeman or woman, as there were hundreds of them at the carnival, and hand them the piece of paper which had their names and Mum's mobile number on it. When it was time to leave the dance school, the girls had to stand behind a rope which went all the way around the float. This was so they would stay safe once the procession started. The girls danced all day long, doing dance routines when the float stopped to all their favourite songs. Ray could not wait to get home and tell her mum how much fun she had on the float. When the day was over, they made their way back through the crowds to Ray's house. As they got to the top of the road, she could see her mum and her sister Nettie dancing and blowing whistles. The three girls ran towards Ray's mum, who gave them a whistle, and they danced away for the rest of the evening, only stopping to go inside and eat some delicious food that Ray's mum had prepared. When her friends had gone home, they tidied up together. Ray wondered how long her eyes would stay open for because she started to feel really sleepy. I do not need a story tonight, she thought, as she would fall asleep before the end. Bath and bed, Mummy said. Ray went first and brushed her teeth with her Barbie toothbrush that her granny had bought for her. When she had finished, she climbed into bed. Mummy peeped into her bedroom, walked in and kissed her on the forehead. She then turned Ray's nightlight off. I wonder where my dreams will take me. She suddenly sat up and looked under her bed. And as if by magic, the bags with her school uniform were under her bed. She lay down and drifted away into a deep, deep sleep with a smile on her face. The next morning, Ray woke up bright and early. Today was the day that Uncle Frank would come and spend a penny. After breakfast, Ray, Mummy and Nettie went outside. Nettie was waiting for Sasha to come over. There's Uncle Frank, Auntie Julie, Penny and coffee, said Mummy. Where? Said Ray. Look behind the mask band, she replied. Nettie and Ray did not know what Mummy was talking about and did not know where to look. Look towards those people in the bright costumes, Mummy said. What is a mask band? Nettie asked. A mask band is a group of people who come together to provide exciting, amazing songs, displays and costumes for people to wear, dance and enjoy themselves all day long. They also keep you safe so that you don't get lost among all the people that come to the carnival, Mummy replied. Some of the costumes look like they took all year to make, Nettie said. Ray saw a costume and shouted, Mummy, look, Mummy, look. It was a lady dressed like a peacock, smiling and dancing. There were yellow and green feathers everywhere. They were even attached to a crown on her head. The colours reminded them of the Brazilian flag. Ray could see Coffee and Amma, her older cousins, blowing their whistles, waving their arms, dancing and singing. As they walked towards Ray's house, she spotted Uncle Frank's t-shirt which said, I love to dance. Ray ran towards Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank, she shouted. He picked her up and swung her around, making her giggle with joy. Coffee and Penny went inside the house and then came out again with their mouths full of crisps and bottles of water in their hands. See you later. They were allowed to go to the carnival, but all by themselves. But they had to be back by 7:30 p.m. Nettie's friend Sasha arrived. They think they're super cool. Sasha always stayed until 9 p.m. while her mummy and daddy went to listen to a style of music called drum and bass. Throughout the day, friends and family visited. Some stayed, some left. Some went and then came back again, but Uncle Frank and Auntie Julie stayed to enjoy the fun. Ray sat and watched the bright-coloured costumes of the ladies dressed in sparkly gold dresses and shoes. Even their faces are golden, she thought. Different people continued passing by, including a group of girls wearing red and white, singing, giggling and laughing, and a smiling lady that looked like a princess wearing pink, who stopped right in front of Ray's house. She was waiting for a little boy dressed all in blue. The boy was looking into a cup which had ice with different colours in it. He looked up and realised that the princess was waiting for him, and he ran towards her. The princess looked at Ray's mum and they started laughing. Snow cone! Nettie and Ray shouted at the same time, which was what the little boy dressed in blue was so interested in. Mummy, can we get one? Nettie asked. There was a man at the end of the road who had the biggest block of ice that Ray had ever seen, and he was scraping away at it, magically creating crushed ice. They walked towards the man who was dancing to the music being played. And on sighting them, he asked, what will it be? "Can I have lemon, lime and strawberry, please?" said Nettie. Sasha and I had the same. Mummy bought 3 jelly coconuts and asked the man to put rum punch in them. A hole had been cut in the middle of the coconut so that he could pour alcohol, which is for grown-ups only, inside of it. He then put 3 straws inside of them. Ray knew one was for Uncle Frank and one was for Auntie Julie. As they walked back to the house, Ray noticed a little girl dressed all in red. She was crying. "Mummy, there's a little girl over there crying, but I can't see her mummy and daddy," said Ray. Ray's mummy turned and followed Ray's finger. She gave her jelly coconut to Nettie to hold and went over to the little girl. Ray also went over to the little girl with her mummy. Her mummy asked the little girl her name. She said her name was Ava and that she was lost. Ray's mum asked who she came to the carnival with. She replied that she came with her mummy and daddy and that her hand had slipped out of her daddy's hand in the crowd. Ray's mum told the little girl not to worry and that her parents would come back and find her. "Mummy, there's a policewoman," Ray said. Her mummy and Ava walked over to her and explained what had happened. The policewoman told the little girl not to worry and that her mummy and daddy would find her. "There are so many people and I'm only little. How will they find me?" she said, crying. "Your mummy and daddy are looking for you right now, and if they cannot find you, I will find them for you," the police officer said. "It would be a good idea if we got out of the crowd and stayed close to where Ava last saw her parents so that they can find her when they come back looking for her," Ray's mum suggested. The policewoman spoke into her radio, describing Ava's hair color and clothes. She also asked Ava how old she was so that she could tell the police officers at the Notting Hill Carnival. She said if she told all the police officers that Ava was lost, the officers would be able to tell her parents that she was safe when they got in contact with them in their search for her. Whilst Ray's mum was talking to the police officer, Ray noticed Ava's face light up with the biggest grin. "Mummy, mummy!" Ava shouted. She had spotted her mummy and daddy. Ava's mummy gave her the biggest hug. They thanked Ray's mum and the policewoman and left. As the day went on, people continued coming and going to Ray's house. Eventually, Sasha went home. Ray's mum started to tidy up. Ray got her footstool from under the staircase and helped her mum dry the dishes while Nettie swept the floor. Ray wondered how long her eyes would stay open for because she started to feel really sleepy. "I do not need a story tonight," she thought, as she would fall asleep before the end. "Finished, Mum," Nettie said. "Bath and bed," Mummy replied. Ray went first and brushed her teeth with her Barbie toothbrush that her granny bought for her. When she had finished, she climbed into bed. Mummy peeped into her bedroom, walked in and kissed her on the forehead. She then turned Ray's nightlight on. Ray must have been very, very sleepy as she had fallen asleep without turning it on. She would have a lot to write in her scrapbook. "I wonder where my dreams will take me," she thought. Ray woke up in the morning. There were green, yellow and blue feathers on her pillow and glitter in her hair. She smiled. Her dream had taken her to the same place as last night. She jumped out of bed, ran into the bathroom to brush her teeth, put on her dungarees and braid top with yellow stars, and opened her scrapbook. She had a lot to write about. So let's try and have some fun. Here is an activity that you can do on the screen. Try to help Ava's parents find her by using your finger to work your way through the maze.